everyone present here. 3rd December is celebrated as Advocates Day in memory and to mark the birth anniversary of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of our country. What better way is there to remember and celebrate his birthday than by participating in the 6th Lahari Model Parliament competition in memory of Senior Advocate Shri B. Holla. May I now please welcome Leader of the Bar, Shri Holla, to kindly welcome this.
The dignitaries sitting here, all my student friends. Court is a place where Kaveri flows, and each one of us here in Bangalore must thank those persons hailing from Court. We have Justice Poonacha here. Without water, person can't survive, and thanks to Court, we are all drinking water thanks to them. At their cost, we drink water here in Bangalore. Courts are known for their hospitality. We have had 4 different judges from Court. Justice Medappa, who was the Chief Justice during the 50s. Then we had Justice P. Bopanna. Later came Justice A.S. Bopanna, who is now in the Supreme Court, and now we have Justice Poonacha. Each one of the judges from Court left an indelible mark on the judiciary. And here is Justice Poonacha, who's had a very illustrious career as a lawyer, and as a student leader, I am told, just before coming here, he also participated in a model Lok Sabha years back, I believe, and he was the speaker. Of course, today he'll come here to speak here and address all of you. It is said that politics takes a center stage in India, and Parliament is absolutely vital for a vibrant democracy. It gladdens my heart to notice that so many of you have come here to participate in the Model Lok Sabha. I remember in 1972, as the Secretary of the Renukacharya Law College, we had a Model Lok Sabha, and that was one of the early years when Model Lok Sabha was thought of. At least 25% of the lawyers are politicians. And if you look at the statistics, at least about 10 to 15% in every assembly, there will be lawyers. So it gladdens my heart to note that all of you have come here to participate in the Model Lok Sabha. I wish and pray that some of you become parliamentarians and elevate the status of parliamentarians and the legislators. There is an abysmal decline in the values. It is only you. My generation, we have failed. Because if you look at all around you, values have eroded. It's only you, younger generation, who can build a vibrant India, a value-based India. And I wish and pray that each one of you not only become good lawyers, but also start getting into politics so that there is more honesty and integrity amongst the politicians and in politics. Friends, it is our fortune that we have Justice Poonacha, who as a student leader, as a participant, as a speaker in a model Lok Sabha 2 decades back, is here to address all of you. He's been one of the most diligent of judges that we have in the High Court. Very hard-working, very upright and honest. He had a roaring practice, left all that, sacrificed everything to become a judge so that he could serve the society. We are all blessed that he is here today and to address all of you. I welcome the senior advocate Justice Chinnappa, Yan Chinnappa, who was, I'm told, a participant in the very model Lok Sabha where Justice Poonacha was the speaker. We have Shri Panindra, senior advocate, Shri Pai, Sudesh Pai, a very erudite lawyer and person who has written so many books. We have Srimati Anuchangappa, we have the registrar, we have Shri Surnal Rao sitting at the back. He is the one who started Lahari. I must say that he is the father figure for the Lahari. See, it's our fortune that he is also here. I welcome each one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for those inspiring words. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Lahari Law Academy has been working towards ensuring there is constant education for advocates as well as students. May I now call upon Shri B. Pramod, Convener, Lahari Law Academy, to kindly deliver the convener's report.
Director, trustees of Lahari Law Academy, members of legal fraternity, judges of the day, students and friends. Lahari Law Academy is a registered trust concentrating on activities concerning advocates and law students. The Lahari Law Academy has been conducting moot court, model parliament, quiz, talent search competitions for the benefit of law students and young members of the bar. Lahari Law Academy has been hosting seminars, workshops for the benefit of legal fraternity. Model parliament competition is held every alternative year by the academy. Though some colleges conduct model parliament competition, this is one of kind conducted by the legal fraternity, which is unique. This is the 6th model parliament competition held in the memory of senior advocate Sri B.P. Holla, a very learned and respected senior advocate of the Bangalore bar. His son and our director, Mr. Uday Holla, has contributed a corpus for organizing the present competition. Late B.P. Holla was a senior advocate and had a rich experience in law and had practiced of 50 years. He was and remains to be a role model to the advocates. This time, invitations were sent to law colleges, not just within Bangalore, but also colleges in and around Bangalore, such as Kolar, Ramnagara and others. Following are the colleges which have participated today: CMR College of Law, PV Puram, Soundarya College of Law, BMS College, KLE, RV Institute of Legal Studies, Christu Jain. We are overwhelmed by the response we received from the various colleges even after their deadline, but we were constrained to restrict the entries to the 8 teams due to the time and logistic constraints. Today being a working day for the courts, we did want to have an orientation program to give the participants an understanding of parliamentary procedures, but since we did not get the students' details in time, we were unable to coordinate with the concerned department. Nonetheless, we were able to take the participants on a visit to Legislative Assembly Hall at Vidhan Sauda on 28th of November 2023 to get a feel of the place, and hopefully those who visited are inspired by the aura and history of the place. We thank the Honorable Speaker and the administrative staff of the Vidhan Saudha and our Advocate General Mr. Shashikaran Shetty for enabling us to undertake the visit at a short notice. Today the competition began at 10 a.m. and it was held at this conference hall and 17 have participated. Mr. Sudesh Pai, eminent senior advocate and author of several celebrated books, was one of the judges. Mr. Ken Panindra, senior advocate, was also one of the judges. Dr. Satish Kauda N, professor of law, University Law College and Department of Studies in Law, Bangalore University, was one of the judges. On request of the Academy, Honorable Mr. C.M. Poonacha, Judge, High Court of Karnataka, was pleased to consent as chief guest for this valedictory function. Students have participated in this competition with zeal and enthusiasm. Presentation of the students was excellent. They were like apt parliamentarians. Srimati Vanaja, advocate, in memory of our parents, Srimati and Sri T.M. Ramaswamy Iyengar, has sponsored the rolling trophy. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to give this report.
Thank you very much, Pramod sir. Advocacy is not about seeking power. It is about giving a voice to the powerless. May I now please call upon Shri Mr. Vivek Holla.
Mr. Justice Poonacha, dignitaries on the dais and off, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege today to stand here before all of you to talk about Shri B.P. Holla, who was my grandfather, a person who I greatly admired and admired his various qualities. Shri Bengaluru Padmanabha Holla was born on 1/6/1916. His father, Shri Mahabala Holla, was a leading advocate at Kundapur. After completing his law degree from Pune, B.P. Holla joined the chambers of his father in 1941. He practiced law at Kundapur during the years 1941 to 1951. Later, he shifted to Bangalore and he initially joined the chambers of Shri K.S. Hegde, who later on became a judge of the Supreme Court. He had a roaring practice at Bangalore, and in 1961, he shifted to Bangalore and started practice in the High Court of Karnataka. He was a very diligent and hard-working lawyer who earned the respect of the judges for his deep learning and erudition, and he built up a lucrative practice, and he was also a doyen of the civil side bar of the High Court of Karnataka. He also taught Hindu law for a few years in BMS Law College as a part-time professor. He also authored many articles on law which were published in various law journals. In 1970, he was offered judgeship, which he refused, as his love for the practice of law was far greater than the lure of title of position. He was also an extremely hard-working lawyer, and he would read his briefs and prepare till the early hours of the morning, including up to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And he believed in being thoroughly prepared for every matter that he attended. His honesty and integrity was such that if a client did not have a good case, he would tell them that they would be wasting money on him and that they should therefore not pursue the case. His motto was that if one takes 10 rupees from a client, he should give him 100 rupees worth of work and not the other way around. He also had the unique distinction of arguing a case for the longest period before the High Court of Karnataka, an appeal relating to the union of two churches, that is the Basil Mission Church and the Church of South India. He argued continuously for nearly 40 days and he succeeded in the case. The case had nearly 10,000 pages of exhibits. Shri B.P. Holla has had the distinction of appearing in virtually every form of court, right from the lower courts all the way up to the Supreme Court. He was a strict disciplinarian, and even till the age of 85, he was driving his own car and he was coming to the High Court. He stopped practice at the ripe old age of 88. He was also a fixture in the Advocates Association library, as a lot of practicing lawyers still reminisce about and know. In fact, most of his free time was spent in the library, and even today there are lawyers who come up to me in the corridors of the High Court and reminisce about the days when he used to assist them in the library with their research. After V.P. Holla refused judgeship, he was also offered designation as a senior counsel, which he refused. Later, when his son Sri Udaya Holla was offered designation as a senior, Sri V.P. Holla, who was still practicing, was offered designation as a senior, which he accepted, and he was made a senior counsel. It was a unique event where father and son were designated as senior counsel on the same day. Many judges and seniors even now remember him and thank him for mentoring them. In fact, even after he stopped the practice of law in the early 2000s, and I was working in Bombay, he exhorted me several times to come back to Bangalore and start practice. And he even said, even though he had virtually stopped practice, that he would sit next to me in court and tell me what submissions to make and how to conduct the case. That was the nature of Sri V.P. Holla. Sadly, when I did shift to Bangalore in 2006, he was no longer in a position to assist me in the manner that he wanted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We've had three eminent personalities who've given us their full day and participating with us, throwing us more light on the procedures and the competition. May I now call upon Madam Yashoda to introduce us to the judges.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to have with us senior advocate Mr. V. Sudhish Pai, a distinguished lawyer, jurist, and acclaimed author specializing in constitutional law and administrative law. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Mr. Sudhish Pai sir has made significant contributions to various branches of the law, including civil law, constitutional law, and administrative law. His role as a government advocate at the High Court of Karnataka from 1999 to 2006 and his contributions to the restatement of Indian law on a legislative privileges project by the Supreme Court of India highlights his profound expertise. Mr. Sudhish Pai sir, not only a legal practitioner but also a dedicated academician serving as a visiting chair professor at the West Bengal National University of Juridical Science, Kolkata. Recognized for his influential writing, he is the revising editor of several legal works including B.G. Ramachandran's Law of Writs and Professor T.K. Toke's Constitutional Law of India. Mr. Sudhish Pai sir has received prestigious awards including the STOCH Literature Award and the Capital Foundation Professor Upendra Bakshi National Award. We are privileged to have Senior Advocate V. Sudhish Pai sir as a distinguished guest for our Model Parliament competition.
May I please call upon Sri Sudhish Pai sir to share a few words about the competition.
Honorable Mr. Justice Poonacha, my esteemed friend Sri Udaya Holla, Sri Pramod, dignitaries in the audience, and may I say, young parliamentarians of the future. It was indeed a pleasure and an learning experience to sit and watch you perform from 11 till 4. If I may take 2 minutes of your time to share with you my thoughts. Ancient India was studied with republics and representative bodies like Parliament was not unknown. However, Parliament as we now know it, then is said to have emerged in England in the 13th century, 1236 during the reign of Edward I. And 1295 you have what is known as the Model Parliament, which is perhaps the model for all parliaments even today. Because as the years went by, Parliament as an institution evolved. The word Parliament itself comes from the word parley, which means to speak. Indeed, Carlyle called Parliament a talking shop. And in the early days, Parliament met, it is said, at the whim of the sovereign. It met where the sovereign was. The participants were whom the sovereign wanted to speak to, and it lasted as long as the sovereign wished. Parliament then was an occasion, not an institution. Over the centuries, Parliament did evolve as an institution, and after the glorious bloodless revolution, you have in England the supremacy of Parliament. Parliament consisting of the three estates, the barons, the bishops and the commons. And the Speaker of the House of Commons became the principal channel of communication between the commons and the sovereign. And that's the origin of the word speaker, though the speaker rarely speaks in the House. The speaker speaks the least. And when the speaker speaks, the convention and tradition is, whether observed or observed in breach, that every member sits down and remains silent. When the speaker stands, everyone is expected to take a seat. These are the traditions of Parliament, and I do hope that all of you would evolve as parliamentarians, model parliamentarians, and the future, I hope, would be one of promise and fulfillment. As I said earlier, please do acquaint yourself with with Erskine May's Parliamentary Practice. Is a classic work in England, and our own Colin Shepter's Parliamentary Practice. Wish you all the very best. It has always been a wonderful experience, and thank you once again for making me dream that I am young.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thoughts and insights. Now, it is indeed my immense pleasure to introduce Senior Advocate Mr. K.N. Panindra, sir, a legal luminary with the 29 years of practice experience, graduating from the University Law College, Bangalore in 1993. Mr. Panindra, sir, went to establish the law firm Hegde and Rao in Bangalore. His extensive practice covers various legal forums including High Court of Karnataka and Delhi, Supreme Court of India and National Green Tribunals. Specializing in civil, constitutional, election, land acquisition and property law, Mr. Panindra sir has been standing counsel for the Karnataka State Election Commission and presently serves as the senior counsel for the State Election Commission Karnataka. His notable success include representing mining lessees on a vital issues related to the interpretation of mining laws. We are honored to have Senior Advocate K.N. Panindra sir as our distinguished guest today. Please join me in extending a warm gratitude to Mr. Senior Advocate K.N. Panindra sir.
Kindly share a few words.
Hon'ble Justice Poonacha, dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, dear students. I think Mr. Sudesh Pai has conveyed the shortcomings or the observations which we saw during the proceedings of the model parliament. I would only say one thing. The boldness in which you participated, you spoke, whether it's in Kannada, English. One thing is clear, that you're cut out to come to the bar or to the parliament and not to the firms. I would sincerely advise, come to the bar. The boldness in which you could speak today, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, doesn't matter. You will learn, it's a learning experience. We all make mistakes. Even after 30 years of practice, I make mistakes in the court. Sometimes I do make statements in a bold manner when I know I might be wrong. Judges also make mistakes, so nothing wrong in it. Learn from your mistakes, but be bold enough to talk, because in this profession, if you do not know how to talk, you will never succeed in this profession. And the last piece of advice, Mr. Sudesh Pai has written several books. You please read those books, books by Denning, books by Pali Nariman. Those will not put you to sleep, let me assure you. You will only learn about experiences, and that will create an interest in the profession to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Gratitude is the spark that lights a fire of joy in our soul. Since our words are not sufficient to express our gratitude to the judges, I request the dignitaries to felicitate the judges. May I call upon Shri Sudesh Pai sir and Panindra sir on stage. Fated moment. Almost. Just there, just there. Keep that spirit high. We wanted to have a few words from the teams that participated. Maybe one of you could. I know the first word that will come is tell us the winner. Apart from that, in case you want to share something else, you can let us know. We'll give you an opportunity. Otherwise, we have one surprise element. Anybody excited? May I call upon Mr. Dhyan Chinnappa sir to kindly take over for the surprise.
He was the Prime Minister in that good court when Justice Poonacha was the Speaker.
This is the danger of letting Mr. Holla in the secrets. He'll come and tell you all. And actually this whole surprise is actually on the stage. And the real surprise is not just, of course, that we are celebrating and remembering Mr. B.P. Holla, but we are also today recognizing the contribution of someone very eminent, of someone who's made possibly the greatest and the most significant difference to the bar in Karnataka and possibly in India, and whom I personally consider as a living legend of the law, Mr. Uday Holla. Now, all those who can see this young strapping gentleman here, he's just finished 50 years in the bar, and most of you may not even realize this. He walks the fastest in the High Court. And I can challenge any one of you youngsters here to have a walking race with him, and I can guarantee you'll lose. Well, just to give a little background on Mr. Holla first. This is the boring part and comes the interesting ones later. He was born in 1951. He was enrolled in 1973 at the age of 22. He has possibly practiced in almost every area of the law. He has appeared in various courts all over India. He has supported various organizations. He's been Advocate General not once, not twice, 4 times. Every government has appointed him as the Advocate General, and if they could possibly, he'd be the permanent Advocate General of Karnataka. He is the past president of the
Karnataka chapter of International Commission of Jurists. He's been the director of Lahari Law Academy since 2008, and even if he wants, we won't let him go. So, but I want to talk to you about two aspects of Mr. Holla. Mr. Holla is the advocate, and Mr. Holla is the human being. And I think both of which you will find will inspire greatness, will inspire you to see greatness in him, and you will see that he is something on whom books must actually be written. And why I am saying this is, I have good reason to say it, because I have seen him for the last 25 years, and I have, though of course I never was his junior, I from afar was a junior and learned everything else from him. Now as an advocate, well, he doesn't work very hard, about 16 to 18 hours a day. He comes to office early in the morning, goes home after 2. So if this is something which dissuades you from becoming a lawyer, then yes, I think it's good reason. None of us actually work that hard. He's practiced almost every area of the law, and I am always reminded when I see him of this lovely quotation which says, "The more and more I learn, the more I realize how less I know about the law." And therefore, if you see Mr. Holla sitting idle and sitting in the bar room, for instance, you'll be wondering what is he doing. He'll have his iPad open and be reading judgments. And we youngsters think we know it all, but then you realize after seeing him that he's still learning. And he's still learning every new day, and he's still, all of that really inspires youngsters to see a man with so much knowledge who's still trying to learn new things. And that is extremely rare. And that is why, you see, whenever he stands up in court, there's so much of regard and respect for him. And when he stands up, you know that if you're an opponent, that you're in real trouble. And therefore, we all hope that he is appearing on our side rather than against us. So that's the advocate. But I also want to speak to you about the person that he is. Actually, there's an interesting story. I'm sure many of you must have read Nani Palkiwala. Nani Palkiwala used to thank one English professor because he went for an interview to become a teacher in English. It so happened that the lady who came was better qualified than him, and she got the job, and the rest was history, because Nani Palkiwala became the greatest lawyer in India. We have something similar to that. Mr. Holla actually got a scholarship to go to Stanford, and he was about to leave. Had he left, we would never have seen him. It so happened that I'm told that his father convinced him to stay, and he stayed back, and of course the rest is history. We have him here. So, you see, there are some events in life which make so much of a difference, and possibly he would have been in an American law firm now, maybe a managing partner, and not the leading lawyer in Bangalore. But what is interesting about him is, you will see him like today, he doesn't have to attend this function. He's a director, and he's a leader of the bar, and he can say, well, I'm too busy, I don't want to come, but every single time he'll be here. He will sign every single certificate which has to be issued. And not only that, if ever you invite him for a wedding, he will attend that wedding. When all of us will find excuses to escape attending, he will attend every single function that he's invited to. Now that shows great character as a human being. And I think it is very rare for someone to meet such an inspiration to all of us. So one thing I want all of you to do is what I have been telling him many a time, that his life has been so eventful that he must write a book about himself. He must write an autobiography of the kinds that we remember of Roses in December. And I hope all of you will join me in persuading him to spend some time away from his busy practice to write a few things about his own life, so that will inspire the rest of us. So, Mr. Holla, I consider it an absolute privilege that we are born at the same time as you, and I hope that you will have many more decades of troubling us on the other side, and hopefully will appear alongside us so that we can trouble other lawyers. Thank you very much.
All that I can say. You would not have come if I had told you. It's always a pleasure to be amongst the youngsters.
Can I request Mr. Suvarnanand Rao to please come up on stage to felicitate Mr. Holla? I think as Mr. Rao is coming up, I must say what Mr. Holla said. He is the father of Lahari Law Academy. But other than that, he was a very leading lawyer in the Bangalore bar. And he's been editing a magazine called Community for such a long time, which contains articles and information about the happenings of law and the lawyers. So I think you should all join hands to thank Mr. Suryanarayan Rao for creating this organization so that all of us can come year after year and organize and participate in these functions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. True peace is not merely in the absence of tension. It is in the presence of justice. May I call upon Shri Dhyan Chinnappa to kindly introduce the chief guest.
It's a rare double for me to do this on two occasions. But I can tell you one thing, possibly I know Justice Poonacha the longest, because I know him at least for 30 years now. Because he was a speaker at the same time as I was Prime Minister. And now I'm a lawyer and he's a judge. So the position which he occupied in the Parliament has remained the same. He's on the dais and I'm off it. Justice Poonacha studied at the Baldwin's Boys High School, pre-university at Vijaya College, and pursued law at the University Law College where I met him for the first time. After completing law in the year 1997, he enrolled and he joined the offices of Mr. S.K.V. Chalapati, a very leading lawyer at that time and now a senior advocate. He co-founded a law firm called Lex Plexus, a very leading law firm in Bangalore even today, which he abandoned for judgeship. Possibly much to the consternation of the other partners. Having practiced for 25 years, I think I can tell you, Justice Poonacha has practiced possibly in every court in the country. Commercial litigation, civil litigation, constitutional law litigation. He's done it all. I must also say that he was a very avid mooter in college, and we had the distinct privilege of being co-speakers at the Justice Moot Court competition in Pondicherry. He was a very gifted speaker and a gifted lawyer. He's spoken at several seminars on various branches of the law. He was empaneled with the State Legal Services Authority. He has, interestingly, he has other academic interests. He's completed a diploma in entrepreneurship administration and business law at the National Law School. He also completed a course in private international law at the Hague Institute of International Law, Netherlands, in the year 2016. This will be a very rare accomplishment for a judge. You will hardly see a judge who's gone and done a course in private international law. And hopefully he'll have some cases on private international law that he will soon judge. He was additional government advocate appointed in August 2020 and continued to be so till 2022 when he became an additional judge. To say something about Justice Poonacha, you will find that Justice Poonacha has a very disarming smile and a disarming presence about him. You will never see lawyers shout or scream in his court. That is because he will just smile them down as opposed to shouting them down. And that is why you will find that proceedings in his court are very calm. No one is really troubled with any difficulties because they know he will hear them out patiently and then decide in a manner that he considers most appropriate. It is of course a great privilege for Lahari today for him to come and preside over towards today's valedictory function, and I can assure you you'll have very interesting things to hear from him when he speaks. Thank you very much. Thank
you very much, sir. We now call upon Hon'ble Mr. Justice C. Poonacha to address the gathering. Good evening, everyone.
today have a options choice. The entire audience is waiting for the result. So if they announce the result, there's no audience for the rest of the program. And now by delaying the results, they have an impatient audience for the speakers. So they chose the latter one. Mr. Uday Holla, the director of the Lahari Law Academy, Mr. Pramod Karina, the judges of today's event, Mr. Sudesh Pai, Mr. Mahindra, Mr. Dhyansinappa, the secretary of the association, Mr. Ravi, Mr. Surnarayan Rao, who is the father figure of Lahari, Mr. Muralidhar Pai, the principal district sessions judge, the officers of the registry, members of the bar, family members of Mr. Holla, and my dear friends. Firstly, coming here today brings back lots of nostalgic memories. Like it was mentioned earlier, the model parliament competitions which we participated, as has already been spoken about. Coming here today is also another special reason. When I completed my final year of law and I was yet to enroll as a lawyer, at that time, it was in the year 97, we first had to register for a year of apprenticeship before we could enroll as a lawyer. The Lahari Law Academy conducted its first moot court competition, and I was one of the participants in that moot court competition. The unique thing about that moot court competition was, normally in other moot court competitions you would have a 4 or 5 page problem which is basically about constitutional law, a few other enactments. But the Lahari Law Academy in its moot court competition had given a compilation of what was essentially the pleadings of a civil suit, that is the claim and the written statement and the issues, the deposition and the exhibits, which constituted a civil case. And that was the moot problem. Now that was the first and probably the last moot court competition which I have come across, where the problem was one of a civil suit and interpretations where civil law interpretations were required to be done. I must say that was a unique experience in that moot court competition, and coming here today is a debt of gratitude which I owe the Lahari Law Academy. I would like to compliment all the members of the Lahari Law Academy for the yeoman service that they have done in training law students, young lawyers, in becoming better professionals. So it's for more than 30 years, if I'm recollecting from the time when I participated in the year 97. I'm sure it started a couple of years before that they have done this selfless service. I would like to first also congratulate all the participants in today's function, in today's event. See, it is very important for students of law, while the college teaches you the letter of the law and what the law is, it is very important for students to take part in competitions like the moot court competition and the model parliament competition. And the reason is this: if you are a litigating lawyer, the training in the profession is how best you can articulate a position or how you can put across your position. It is said the best lawyers are not necessarily the most brilliant minds. The best lawyer is a person who can put across what is in their mind to convince. For example, law is, you have a client who comes with a problem. You, within the four corners of the law, figure out how you can redress that problem. You file a petition in a court, and when that comes up, you have to articulate the problem, both in fact and law, before you can get the relief. So it is very important for students to participate in functions like this, where they can train themselves to articulate themselves better. There's another reason why this model, especially competitions like the model parliament helps. It gives an insight to the law students to understand the functioning of constitutional institutions. You have the parliament, you have the courts, and how they function under the parliament. under the constitution, and in this functioning, there are bound to be instances where these institutions are at loggerheads or in some form together. So competitions like these give you an opportunity to understand the functioning of these institutions and the nuances and the nitty-gritty with which they function. Another important reason which I can recollect, which I urge all of you all to participate, is because when you participate in these functions, when you all are college students, normally you all have a very casual demeanor. It is when you participate in competitions like the moot court and the model parliament, you learn a more formal expression of your language, of how you put across things. For example, I can just recollect an incident offhand when I was a practicing lawyer and I happened to be in the Court of the Chief Justice, and the bench headed by the Chief Justice had put across a question to a young lawyer who was appearing, and the young girl in response said, "Yeah." And the Chief Justice was shocked, and he in fact commented with his brother judge, "What is this young lawyer doing?" Saying, "Yeah." So please understand, when as you graduate out of college and when you enter the profession and when you become young professionals, you will have to learn, you have to train yourself in a more formal expression of what you need to put across, and it is in that training of what you need to achieve as young professionals that these competitions will help. These competitions would also help. I would urge all of you all to essentially cultivate a reading habit for the purpose of, for example, one of the suggestions which I would like to share with you all is, there are some topics of interest, like for example the death penalty, or the, like say Article 377, same-sex marriages. These issues keep coming up in court. These have been decided by constitution bench judgments of the court. Please make an effort to try and read a few of them, simply because you have an opinion of them. Now, when you as take part in a group discussion, when they ask a topic to be discussed, everyone has an opinion about that. For example, whether you are pro or against the death penalty, everyone may have a yes or a no. But in expressing that opinion, you will have to give a more legal angle to the whole thing. And that, as students of law, which I believe you should give. From a social perspective, any social student of science or student of sociology will be able to express it. But coming from a student of law, they would expect something more leaning towards the legal aspect of it. So it is in that regard, and in this I would like to have one more suggestion, which I face this experience as a lawyer when you have a lot of these interns coming, and on one aspect we had asked the interns to prepare a note, and a lovely note was prepared, and I'm going through the note. I kind of had a hunch, and extracts of the judgment were put across. So I asked one of those interns, "Did you read that judgment?" It was a fairly large judgment. So the first response was, "Sir, you mean the whole judgment?" I said, "What do you mean the whole judgment?" So as the hunch proved right, the tech-savvy generation that is put in a few keywords in the search engine, found those keywords in the judgment, extracted that and listed it, and placed in that note. So while you rely on that, not understanding the perspective in which that is put, or the context in which that is put, have your read. So I would suggest one thing. It is not for nothing that a bench of 3 or 4 or 5 learned judges have written a judgment. At least as students of law, as lawyers, we owe it to read that judgment, at least to understand. So I would end by saying, when I mention the word end, everyone is happy. I can see the smiles on their face. So I would end by first complimenting all of you all for choosing this profession of law. Simply because, in my personal opinion, the independence of thought with which a lawyer can practice his profession is something remarkable. I would urge most of you all, if not all, to get into the field of litigation. Of course, there is a longer gestation period. You will not be able to match the remuneration that you would earn in the initial years with your friends in other fields. But let me assure you one thing. You would have a first-hand experience of interacting with the client, understanding what the problem is, putting it in a manner to redress this grievance within the four corners of the law. And when you reach a stage when the relief is gone, the satisfaction that a lawyer has is unmatched. And let me assure you, it is not that the profession is all that bad in terms of payment. Please apply yourself to the job on the hand, and in course of time, everything, you can trust yourself to believe, everything will fall into place, including the amount of money you would earn and the nature of cases would appear. So with these few words, I would first congratulate all the participants and as also the winners who are likely to be announced. Thank you. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity for coming to this function. Thank you very much.
All right. Now for the most important part of the function, without which the program will not conclude. I now call upon Madam Anu Changappa for the vote of thanks.
I can see that if looks can kill, you will be dead. I am getting all those dirty glances. I quite understand. I will try to make it as short as possible, but then we have a long list of people to thank because there are so many invisible hands, so much of effort that has gone in since the past 2.5, 3 months to make this happen. So I will just quickly read through them. Well, first and foremost, I hope all of us realize it's not every day that we have such illustrious persons gathering at one place to be with you all. The only reason they invariably come here to be with us year after year is this urge, of course, a strong passion for the profession, a sense of wanting to give back to the profession, and most importantly, to ensure that the right kind of people join the profession for the right reasons. And hopefully you will all not disappoint us, because when we see all of you coming into the bar, you know, we get the sense of satisfaction that maybe somewhere, maybe one of these occasions did help you all to make that decision to come into the bar. And in fact, today amongst our volunteers, we have 2 members who were as recently as last year participants. They came and they said they want to be a part of our organizing team, and that's exactly what Lahari as a movement is all about. It's about passing on the baton from one generation to the other generation. So not just joining the bar, but when you do join the bar, please do join us when we organize these functions year after year. So on that note, I am not ending, I'm starting my list of thank yous. First and foremost, a very warm word of gratitude to our chief guest for the day, Justice Poonacha. Great encouragement, and he was my super senior, and this great model parliament that we keep talking about, we are all culprits, you know, we've all been there and we've had our fun time in those model parliament competitions. And today when we were seeing you all perform, it was all nostalgia coming back to us 25, 30 years ago. Now you know how old all of us are. Okay, so thank you so much, Justice Poonacha, for accepting our invitation to be here with us. It's such a pleasure to have you. A special word of gratitude to Mr. Muralidhar Pai, the principal civil and sessions judge, but for whose support we would not have been able to organize this here. This conference hall is like, you know, a sort of a, what do you say, it's a kind of a title that we have for all our Lahari events. Year after year after year, we have the administration helping us. A special word of thanks to Mr. Anand Chauhan also, registrar of civil court. And we had this visit to the Vidhan Sauda, so a special word of gratitude to our Advocate General, Mr. Shashikiran Shetty, who made it happen for us at very short notice. And we also want to thank the Speaker and the administrative staff of Vidhan Sauda. And of course our judges. I mean, I don't have to say of how much of their time and effort has gone in today since morning to be with us. Especially Mr. Sudesh Pai has been judging right from the very first Model Parliament competition that we had. And he should probably hold the record for standing up for the maximum number of national anthem renditions in a day, right from the time we started. Thank you, sir, in spite of your busy schedule, for being with us. Mr. K.N. Panindra also. Mr. Panindra is also a very, very busy person, and it's been a pleasure to have you with us. At short notice, I just said, sir, will you please come? He said, yes, when, where? And that's it. So no frills, no tours, made all the difference to us, so thank you so much. And Mr. Professor Satish Gowda, you had the fortune of interacting with him in the morning. Professor Satish Gowda also, at a very short notice, agreed to be with us, so our deep gratitude to him also. A special word of gratitude to the office bearers of Advocates Association Bangalore, the President, Mr. Vivek Reddy, Mr. T.G. Ravi, the Secretary who is here with us, and the Treasurers. They were the ones who gave us permission to use the Academy Hall, because but for that we would have had a chaotic logistical problem, coordinating all the participants on a busy working day. Thank you very much. We're very grateful for that cooperation from your side. And we wish to thank Madam Banaja, who has instituted the rolling trophy in fond memory of her parents. In fact, we started off with that, and today we are where we are. Thank you, ma'am, very much. And of course, our director, Mr. Uday Holla, for creating a corpus to keep this event going. And it's such a pleasure to see his family in the audience today. Thank you, Mrs. Holla and Mr. Vivek Holla, and the little grandchild. We will start enticing the little one into the bar right from here. Thank you for being with us. And a deep word of gratitude for all the principals and faculty members of all the law colleges who put up these teams together and sent all of you to us at very short notice. We want to also thank the technical team headed by Mr. Deepak and Suresh for helping us with the banner and other logistics. Mr. Subramania and the ADM 3 branch of Civil Court, Mr. Narendra from the canteen for not keeping us hungry throughout the day. And our trustees, Mr. Surnayan Rao, we call him as the Bhishma Pitamaha of Lahari. That is what he is for us. And thank you for your presence, sir. He's also our trustee, Mr. Dhyan Shinappa, and of course our convener, Mr. Pramod. And of course our happening volunteer team consisting of Mr. Jayant, who's also doing the anchoring for the evening, Mr. Jayant Dev Kumar, Mr. Lohit Kumar, Mr. B.V. Srinivas, Mr. Arsalan Zaidi. Arsalan Zaidi is not here because in the middle of his wedding preparations, he managed to help us out. So technically he's not here, but anyways. And of course, Yashoda is just 1 month old in the profession. So that is how the profile of Lahari is. There is no hierarchy, all of us work as a team. And of course, last but not the least, I want you to do one small exercise. Please stretch out your hands like that. Put it back and do that. Excellent participants. Thank you so much. You were excellent in terms of keeping time, in terms of keeping the discipline, in being here throughout. Thank you so much. All the best. Yeah, I'll find out my work. Thank you.
One of our participants to join the profession, join the bar. Every one of our participants here have exhibited one of the most important virtues that an advocate requires. That is patience.
Let's try our best, but leave the rest. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನೇ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಅವರ್ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್, ಲೀವ್ ದ ರೆಸ್ಟ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಪಡೋಣ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸಲ. ಸೊ with respect to the results, member of opposition, any guesses? The best prize for member of opposition goes to Aratrika Chaudhary. Please give a good round of applause. ಜೋಶ್ ಇಷ್ಟೇನಾ? The next choice is member of the ruling designation. Any guesses? The best prize for member of the ruling designation goes to Mr. Manoj Kumar Tirthi. Mr. Sumuka HS. The best president. The best award of president goes to Mr. Yusuf Khalil. I would like to go for a people's opinion. Yeah, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜೋರಾಗಿ
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the nostalgic photo or the list of the participants in the moot court competition, wherein Model Parliament, wherein Justice Poonacha was the Speaker and Shri Dhyan Chinnato was the Prime Minister.